Hello there and welcome. My name is Jimmy Wikman, and in this video we're going to go through the Atlassian Cloud changes that happened between February 12th and February 19th. And this one is delayed because one, I was on vacation last week, and two, I recorded this one and my sound was completely broken. So I have to re-record this one, and because of that it comes out a little bit late. But I hope you forgive me because we have a lot of things in this video today. So let's not waste any more time, but let's jump into the Atlassian Cloud changes in their blog. So here we are now in the blog where we have the Atlassian Cloud changes documented. So let's move down to the first one for the administration part. And this one is give your users more responsibility with our site admin role. So this is a rollback, I guess we can call it, because we had site admin before, and they announced that it would go away for other types of roles, and now they are bringing it back again. So basically what this one is that you have a specific role that you can assign to someone so they can manage a single site in your organization. So they can actually manage that site, but they cannot manage other sites within your organization. So this one is really good, and you manage this one the same way that you do with other roles. So you go to directory and users in your admin section, and then you can assign then the site admin role to a user. And you can select then which products they are site admins for. So that is the first change that we have for this one. If we look into the Jira Platform then the first thing that we have then that when we are calculating the total number of issues in the backlog, and this is for company managed projects, then they are not calculating the subtask anymore. I don't recall that we've had that one before, but apparently we have, so maybe I missed this one. But it basically means that when you have the total number of issues in your backlog, it will no longer calculate subtask in that number. And they also have, I love it when they add these, I don't know what we should call this. It's very obvious, of course, that if you do not calculate the number of subtasks, and if you filter so the only thing that remains are subtasks, then it will show 0. It makes perfect sense to me, because subtasks are not calculated. But yes, you know, subtasks are no longer calculating or calculated in the total number of issues. Next up, we have assets import file size validation. And this one I'm not really sure about because the information is very, very thin on this one. But basically what it says that in order to improve performance and reliability, and they are now having a little bit of a check or a validation when you upload a file to import. So if it's larger than 250 megabytes, something will happen. It says, lets the user know. And this is the part I'm not really sure. What does that mean? Does it mean that I get a notification, a warning, and says that this one is very, very large, but I can still continue? Or is it that it will simply say it's too large, so I cannot continue? So depending on which of these two options is true, it can either be a good implementation or a bad implementation. And it only says file size validation. So to me it implies that it's only when you upload a CSV, for example, or JSON, and it's not when you have an integration, because those are not considered to be file uploads but a direct connection. But I'm not sure, because if it is also for when you have integration, then this one could be potentially very bad, because there are situations where you need to import more than 250 megabytes, and if you then get blocked by this new implementation, then that could cause problems. So if you have tried this and you have seen this notification, please let me know what it looked like and what kind of functionality was included in it, if it's blocked things or if it just gave you a warning. Next up, we have finish setting up your tools from the issue view. I'm not really sure who actually needed this one, but Basically, what this means is that if you have code deployment or security tools activated, so you have activated those features, but you haven't completed setup for them, and you will see them in all issues or all tickets, and you can then proceed from there to continue your setup. I don't know if this kind of reminder or in your face is something that people want or that was really necessary. But basically what it happens is if you go to an issue, you will see then in the development panel, you will see one of these: setup code tools, setup deployment tools, or setup security tools. And from the drop-down menu, then you can select the tool you want to set up, and then you can follow the steps. So kind of in-your-face reminder that you have activated this one, but you haven't completely set it up. So I guess, I don't know if it's good or bad. It depends on how annoying it is and how much you want to kick whoever activated that one, but didn't finish setting it up. So now you get a bunch of notifications and information that you might not want. The next part is then control in-product notification for Jira. And this one goes to a section that I still haven't seen yet. It hasn't rolled out for me in any of my instances. So it is in the personal settings and notifications, where you can actually now set the preference for in-product notifications. And in-product notifications appear then in the notifications bell and the top navigation bar. So you have it up in the right corner. And then you will be able then to see the in-product notifications there. And it doesn't say what kind of preferences you can set. So any one of you who actually have seen this one, please add a comment and tell me what kind of preferences you actually can set. Because it is a little bit thin with information about this one. And previously we said that subtasks would not be included when calculated the number of issues. But we are including subtasks when we calculated the workload, and specifically the workload for workload by assignee. So if in the backlog then for company managed projects again, then if you go then to select the Scrum project and you click the More menu next to the avatar icons, then you will see the workload by assignee. And those will now show with the subtask. We can toggle this on and off. And so if you include the subtask, then you will also see the number of estimations that you have below that one. And this is good, I guess, for people that do not have a process basically for estimation, where we have some teams are estimating in the stories or the tasks, and some people are estimating in the subtask, and some people are mixing it, which is kind of confusing. So I guess for those people or for those organizations where you do not have that structure yet, then it could be good to have this functionality. So you can toggle it on and off based on how the teams themselves handle these things. So this is pretty good. This way we can actually see it properly. And this is, like I said, only for workload by assignee. So not sure what will happen with other areas where you will see the estimations, or how this toggle will actually affect other areas. It doesn't say that. And we continue with the trend then of subtasks. So if you have subtask in a company managed project that is shown on your board in the backlog view, then you now can filter backlog by subtask. So you will actually have a subtask filter. So you will actually have something called type. And then from that one, you can select then if you want to show or not show the subtasks. And it also says here that it's good for everyone to know that subtask is not referencing the single subtask issue type, but it's actually the whole classification of subtasks. So it means that if you have created other types of subtasks with other names, they will also show up there instead of the subtask name if you don't have that one. Notification grouping, I have had this for quite a while, so I don't know if this one is new, but basically when you have the notifications under the bell there in the top right corner, you will have two options basically. So you can see then them either as a list, then every notification that happens will just be in a long list, or you can group them by object or entity. So then you will have one notifications, and in there you can have multiple notifications of the same type. So I don't know if this one is new, but it's quite nice. I tend to have it on group because you have a reduced number of items in there, and I usually go through them very quickly and then just remove them. So I think this is a really good change that we can have this kind of grouping. Moving on then to Jira Software. So then we have, and this one will come for basically all products later on. So we have the simplifying of customer consent. So when you consent to apps accessing your data, so when you install a new app, for example, and then they will ask you, is it okay that we use your data for this app? And in the past, you had to do this multiple times, depending on what kind of action and what kind of installation it was, or if you installed it somewhere else. So then you will need to give multiple approvals. So what they have done now is to simplify that one. So if you give your consent once, then it will be there for all the installations and for all activities. And this one I am not happy with. So card colors has been there for a very long time. So this is a refresh of the experience. So what they have done now is that they have removed the possibility to add any color you want. And now you are forced to use the color picker. So you basically have those, 21 colors or something like that. So you will be very, very limited compared to before. And I don't know why they choose to do this one. I've talked about it in other videos as well. The only thing I can think of is because they don't know how to handle colors based on the fact that they have a light and a dark theme, which doesn't make any sense to me since there are open libraries that will actually do that conversion for 16.7 million colors. And so it should not be a problem to actually allow us users to set whatever color we want. But it's there, and there's nothing we can do about it. It's one of those restrictions that we just have to accept. So if you are the kind of person that have a specific theme, for example, for your colors, and you're probably not going to like this one because the colors are very limited. So I think this is a bad change, not that they are refreshing the experience, but because they do not have the possibility to add your own hex code, your RGB or your ASV code, because that should be there in the modern platform, I think. And this is another refresh, I think. Yes, it is. So this is then for your Kanban board. So the swim lanes that you can set. So your columns is on the from top down, and then you have your swim lanes, which is left to right, basically. So not a whole lot of changes, but the UI is a little bit different, and it's specifically when you want to do your own queries that you will see that this one has been changed. So before you had it inline, so you basically had on a page where you can actually add these things, and now they have it instead in a modal, which I don't think is an improvement. To be honest, I don't like to sit in a modal and accidentally click things down. But this is the difference that they have. It's more in line with other areas of the platform and how we configure these things. So just a refresh and a UI update, and you will see a modal instead of being brought to a proper page that it was in the past. So now the parent field has been there for a while. So what they have done now is that they have made some changes to it. So they have updated it a little bit. So we can see then that the parent field here now is available when you create new schemes and layouts. So it's the standard now. So it will always show up for you when you create these things. And also anything that had an epic link or parent link field, they have now been replaced by the parent field. So those fields no longer exist. So you can now have the proper parent field instead when you're working with, for example, new issues and workflow transitions. And this one, I don't really know what it means. They added the parent feature that was previously in the team managed project are now in company managed issue view. I have no idea what that one means. Add parent was there for me before, so I don't know how this one is an update or what was different in the team managed field. I don't work with team managed projects because they are not very well, from an admin perspective, they are crap, to be honest, because they are self-isolated bad thingies. And we will talk about that one in a completely different video, but it would be good to have a little bit more information in this view here that we're looking at in the blog, so we know what kind of changes actually happened, because this one tells me nothing. And also, of course, the parent now and JQL function now have the functionality that we used to have for epic link, parent link, and parent epic. So now we can use those same functionalities then in our JQL. Moving on to Jira Service Management, we have first the same thing that we have for software and for the other products. So simplified customer consent. So it's the same thing that we have for Jira Software. And this one I really like though. This one is that when you're working with services in Jira Service Management, they are kind of simplified, but now they have added so we can actually add types. So they will become then a little bit more closer to how we use the components, the Compass components. So now we will actually be able to categorize the services based on software service, business service, application, and capability. And that one will make things much clearer, I hope, when we are working with the services. So this is a really good thing. So what you do is then you go to your services, you select the service, and then you have service type then. So you can select that one. So that way you can classify your services a little bit better. Let's see, next one is make edits on a form without opening up edits for customers in the portal. So in the past, when you wanted to edit something or when you wanted to edit a form, you need to open it up. So then the customer could also change things in the portal. So the change here now is that you can now edit it without doing that. So you can edit it so it's only you who can edit it from the inside of Jira. And the customers can still not open it or still not edit it in the portal. So this is a really good change. So you will have now an edit form. So you can just have that when you want to make edits yourself and without giving your customer editing power. So this is a good change and I like it a lot. Next up is choose the customer detail fields to appear on the issue view. And this one is if you have activated the customer service management feature that will allow you then to have a customer object basically that is extended so you can add more data to it. And the way it has been in the past, you had your customer object that was showed in ticket and you had to click on it to actually see the full documentation of the customer. So what you can do now is that you can actually select more fields that will show directly in the ticket. So that means your important data or the important information about that customer can be readily available for you directly in the ticket, and it can save you a click then. So you don't have to go into the customer object itself. So the way you do it then is you go into your customer section, and then you will find the customer and you click on customer actions in the 3 dots. And then you click edit details. And then you will have toggles then for each of the fields. So you can select which of the fields you want to appear inside of the ticket itself. Really, really good for those of you who wants to work with customer data. I'm still hoping that they will make some kind of connection to other tools, since we tend to have more elaborate customer data in Salesforce, for example, or other tools like that one. And it would be good if we can have a connector for that one, so we can actually fetch it on the fly or on request, so we can actually map those data with that one. But that's on my wish list, so we'll see if that one happens. Moving on to Jira Work Management, and there we have then the ability to remove the, or we don't have the ability anymore. They have removed the ability to actually set the background on the left side navigation. And this one happened a while ago, I think, because I remember this one being removed quite several weeks ago. But what is happening then is you used to be able to have a color on the left navigation column. And this one is now gone, so it will be white or it will be dark, light or dark, I guess we should say. And apparently they are doing this one for future changes without actually defining what that means. So I'm guessing they have something that will come up soon in the left navigation column. So we'll see what happens with that one. And we have a functionality now then to import data directly from monday.com. And a couple of weeks ago we had for other tools that we can also use to import. So they are building up a little library for importing things from other tools. So the way they do it, and the only bad things I think about this one is that you cannot import it into an existing project. So you need to create a new project for it. So the import is only possible when you create a new project. So the way you do it is then you go to projects and you create a new project, just like you normally would. And then you will go then more and select import data. And so this is how you do it. And then you have import to a new business project. And then you will select what type of other system do you want to import from. And then you will set Monday. And then they will then import it from your Monday instance, and you will fetch all the data there and import it into a brand new Jira Work Management project. So just remember that one if you want to move over, and that you need to create a new project for it. You can, of course, after you have created it, move all the tickets from that project to an existing one, but it's still a little bit weird that we need to do that one with a brand new project. Next up is Confluence, and we start like we did with the other products, and the first thing that they will do is simplifying customer consent. So it's the same thing that we had for the other ones. And this one we have had before as well, and that is when you have the legacy editor and you convert it over to the new editor, it will keep your old color until you actually change it with the new editor. But as soon as you change that one, you can no longer have anything else but the predefined colors that you have in Confluence. Next up is then emails. I think we have a few of these. So there's a new grant access email. So they have updated the content for it, I guess. So a new email design for a better user experience. I have no idea what that means or who decided that this was a better user experience or how they tested it or nothing like that. But just know that the email that is being sent out when you have a new grant access email is a little bit different somehow. Next up is that guests can request licensed user access. So if you have a guest user and they now somehow, again, it doesn't really say how or where they can do this, but they can request a licensed user access. So they can basically say, I thought this one was so awesome, I now want to have a license for it. So this one is kind of interesting, and I don't know how annoying this could be if you have a lot of guest users. But if anyone knows where this one is done, if it's an email or if it's somewhere in the UI, please add that in the comments so we can figure out where this one is and give some review on it. And then we have public links persistence lozenge. That's a mouthful. So basically what this one means is that we have another contextual education on public links allowed for anonymous visitor to make the connection between their content and other Confluence features faster. I have absolutely no idea what that sentence means. I don't know where this one exists or anything like that. But it's related to public links, so it's only going to affect you if you have public links activated so people can use it. But if anyone knows what this one means, because to me this was just gibberish and there's no context to where it's actually happening or what happens. Something happens faster and it's something related to a connection between their content and other Confluence features. No. Atlassian, please write this a little bit more detailed, please, so we actually understand what this one means. And this one is another one. They are updating the email communication to improve how we notify you when content is deleted or created. So this is great. Would be nice to know how and what you're actually doing. But this is then the new email notification for when pages and blogs are deleted. I guess I'll have to go in and create something and delete it just to see what the difference is. But it's related to email notifications anyway. This one could either be great or it can be horrible. And the reason I say that is because it depends a little bit on how this one actually works. So let's go through it first. This is for the roadmap planner macro. So this is where you can basically do your little fishes, your lines there, and tell what kind of activities you do on a time scale. And before, if you accidentally closed it, then it was gone, and then you had to start over. So what they are doing now is they are adding autosave every 15 seconds, which is good. And it's also, it's a little bit weird because it seems like it's not just saving it to the object, but to the page itself. So if you are making some changes and you didn't actually want to save those changes, the only way to actually revert it, because you have auto-saved it, is then to go to page history and go back. And that one is kind of weird. And the fact that you actually have this one still in a modal is also kind of weird, because it's not very secure and it's very difficult to know if you accidentally click outside. So what I would want is to have this one more like they have for many of the applications, like for IO, for example, is that when you click on edit this one, you will actually be taken to a new view, a page, and it's its own object. And then you can work with that one, and when you save it, then it will actually go back to the page, and then you can save that page. So it's nice that we can save it. I thought it was kind of weird that we had to revert it to a prior version, because every save then I'm assuming will be a new version, or maybe the editing will just be one version. So if you get 15 saves, then do you get 15 versions, or is it one version? This one is, it feels like a hack, to be honest. It has good intentions, but implementation feels off. It doesn't feel right. And this one is an improvement for when you want to then include Jira issues in a Confluence page. So let's see. The improvement seems to be that we can now use keywords or JQL, and we have the flexibility to add, move, and remove and reorder. So it's a slight update then to the functionalities that we have in the macro itself. And I like this one. The more functionalities you get for the macro itself is great. So thumbs ups from me. This next item I really like, and that is that you can block page and blog export from space settings in Confluence. So if you haven't checked into Atlassian Access, for example, then you probably don't know that this functionality exists. But what this one will actually mean is that we can prevent now users from exporting from your Confluence spaces. And this one is really good, because if you accidentally get hacked or if someone is not very careful with information in Confluence, you could actually have someone downloading sensitive information and spreading it. So this functionality then will allow you then to block, so you cannot download PDF, CSV, HTML, Word, and XML in Confluence for page and blog exports. So this one is really good, and I think you should activate it unless you have a very good reason not to do it. But I like this one. The more functionality we get for security, the better it is. And the next one is that Confluence Home has a new look. It doesn't say what it looks like. It doesn't say what they've changed. It just says, yeah, it's different. And it's the layout, which is basically everything is a layout, and then iconography. So, yeah, I don't know what's changed. I haven't seen any difference whatsoever, but I guess one of the icons could have changed, or some icons could have changed to something different. I really wish they could just add a screenshot for this one, so we can see what the changes are, because I don't see any difference in my instance. Next up then is enable notification groupings, and this is exactly the same that we talked about for Jira. So you will have that little option in your notifications. So if you click on the bell and you see your notifications, then you can click on the 3 dots, and you can now select list, or you can have groupings. So that's the same thing. So that was it. That was the total amount of changes then for February 12th until February 19th, 2024. And just some information regarding, now that I've been doing this for a while, I see that we have discrepancies between what is posted here in the blog and also what we have inside of the product news. And so what I'm doing is I'm planning now to create a functionality for this one on my own web page. So there I will create, for each of these changes, I will have now kind of like a database. So we can update it on the fly with screenshots and videos and stuff like that. Just so you know that in the future we might not read it out from the blog here, we might have it then from my web page instead. But that's what's all I had for this video, and I hope you liked it, and I'm very sorry for this one to come out so late. But I hope you can forgive me, and I also hope that you will have an awesome day and a great week.